I'm a big music fan, so when I see one of my favourite bands is on tour, I immediately start to feel FOMO about it. I want to get that ticket. Just imagine if you could create FOMO, that fear of missing out, for your business. If you could generate a buzz about the events that you run, or build genuine excitement and urgency about working with you. I'm joined by the original FOMO creator, May King Tsang, who will share her proven strategies to build a buzz and excitement about what you do on this episode of Architecture Business Club, a weekly podcast for small firm founders who want to build their dream business in architecture and enjoy more freedom, flexibility and fulfillment in what they do. I'm John Clayton, your host. I know that building an architecture business can feel hard, especially if you're a sole practitioner. The good news is that you don't have to do it alone. Last year, we launched our membership community to a small group of founding members, including architects, architectural technologists, and interior designers. We meet online each week and occasionally in person to support each other in building our businesses and to have some fun along the way. On the 1st of March 2025, we are opening the doors to a limited number of new members. If you'd like to join this supportive group of like-minded professionals, now's your chance. Just go to architecturebusinessclub.com/waitlist or click the link in the show notes and enter your details so we can let you know when and how you can join this incredible group. And if you have any questions, just email John, that's Jon, at architecturebusinessclub.com. Now, let's find out how to build some FOMO in your business. May King Tsang is the original FOMO creator, generating buzz and excitement to help sell out your next event. FOMO means the fear of missing out, and in business, that is a good thing. FOMO helps raise your profile, sells your products and services, gets people to your expo, and increases footfall to your trade show booth. May King has been helping clients generate FOMO since 2012, both online and in person, and she is available now to help you too. You can connect with May King Tsang on LinkedIn. Just click the link in the show notes. May King, welcome to Architecture Business Club.
How are you, John? It's so lovely to see you.
I'm very well, thank you. Yeah. It's a shame this isn't in person, but
I know.
online is good too. But it's a pleasure to have you here.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. May King, before we get stuck into our topic, I've heard that you've got a growing interest. Do you like that pun?
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Do you want to tell me about that new interest outside of work?
Absolutely. Well, we have something in common, don't we? We tell to kill plants.
Yeah.
Not anymore, because this year I've decided, well, last year actually, I've decided Steve, my partner, potters around in the garden all the time. My garden looks amazing, or our garden looks amazing, and it's because I've not touched it. But I thought, you know what? I really ought to get involved. So whilst Steve is tending to his bonsai, I'm helping him a little bit, and we are doing little bits around the garden, and he's teaching me stuff, and it's fantastic. So yeah, that's my hobby outside of work.
Oh, that sounds really cool. As you sort of alluded to there, I am not very green-fingered. My wife is the one that sort of tackles the garden and the planting, and I have even managed to kill a cactus on my deck. I overwatered it. Who knew? Who knew? I just thought plants, they need water.
Yes.
But apparently you can very easily overwater and kill a cactus. So I've got one now that's hanging in there. I've not killed it yet, so maybe things are looking up. Anyway, we are going to talk about something that I'm really excited to talk about this, and it's something that some of the listeners, they might not be familiar with it. So I think it's going to be a really interesting topic. We're going to talk about FOMO, so that architecture firms can build a buzz, they can build some excitement about what they do. I think really the best place to start is for you to just explain to everybody, what is FOMO?
Well, thanks for asking the question, John. FOMO, for those of you not down with kids, means the fear of missing out. Now, it is part of everyday parlance because we often look on Facebook and we think, oh gosh, our friends are going on holiday again. Oh gosh, that person's got a new car, and all that kind of, and we feel a little bit sad, don't we? We feel the sads a little. However, in business, as you alluded to in my bio, it is actually a really good thing. If you've built that buzz, that hype, and that excitement in your business, and other people are talking about you and your business, that generates that fear of missing out. And then people think, oh my gosh, I better not miss out. I better buy that thing, or I better go to that stand, or I better go and talk to that architecture firm. So in business, FOMO is actually a really good thing. And so that's what I do. I teach people to, I explain and teach people how they can do it. And I'm also hired to create that FOMO for people too.
And I have had the pleasure of seeing you in action at conferences and events, creating that FOMO live. And it is pretty amazing to watch. If anybody meets May King in person, you need to check out how fast she can use her phone. It is unbelievable the speed that she can tweet at. I've never seen anyone be able to tweet as fast as May King. It must be a record.
Can I share my personal best?
Yeah, go on then.
It's 1,276 tweets. It reached 31 million people. I was also at that conference we met. I spoke twice. So not only was I a public speaker, I was a FOMO creator. Did all the tweeting, as I've just said. I also created Instagram posts and stories and did lots of interviews as well. And because of that hype, that FOMO that I generated, that particular conference, they sold 55% of their tickets for their next event at this event. So that's why FOMO works. It works not just for conferences. That's my specialty, but not just for conferences. But that's why it's important to create that buzz and hype by creating live social media content so it can help you to sell tickets or sell your products and services.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. Which I guess this leads nicely into the next question I wanted to ask, because state the obvious, not everybody is going to be organising a big conference or a big event, particularly for a small architecture firm. They might be organising some events, but who is FOMO for? Can you sort of tell us about who is this for? Because it's not just for people that are organising big conferences, is it?
No, absolutely not. It is for architects. It is for architect firms. It's for anyone who is involved in the architect industry to gain their presence and gain more visibility online. So before the end result is to gain that customer. But how do we gain that customer? Well, you can't just thrust a business card at somebody, can you? No. We don't like to be sold to. So how do you do that? How can you get people really buzzing excited about and hyped about who you are and think, oh, I've got to talk to that architect, or I've got to talk to that firm? Well, this is where FOMO is really, where it's all at, really. And so I have a 5-step process, John, to generating that FOMO. And it all begins with your brand. Now, John, you're amazing online because you are everywhere. And, I worked for Google for a year, and with Google, they said that you have 7 seconds to impress somebody when they're looking at you from their desktop. And that's reduced to 4 seconds if they're looking at you from their smartphone. So people are not just Googling, they're looking at your socials. And if you haven't posted for 3 months, then that leaves a bad taste in someone's mouth, So, for architects and people involved, in a firm, your branding is so important. Getting your presence online, showcasing that you are an expert in your field, building relationships with people online and in person, letting the world know what it is you do on a daily basis, a day in the life of an architect firm or an architect. These are the kind of things that you can post about. If you've got glowing testimonials from your clients, you definitely need to share them as well. Don't keep that to yourself. Get them shared shared. And then when the time is right for your lurkers, because let's face it, John, we've all got lurkers on the socials, right?
Absolutely.
When the time is right for your lurkers, they will slide into your DMs and then you can get the conversation started. So that's my 5-step process to FOMO in a nutshell. BRAND. Anyway, yeah, a lot.
Can we dig into that a bit more?
Yeah, sure.
We've got an understanding of now what FOMO is and who it's for. So can we dig into that a little bit more about how we can create this FOMO for ourselves and for our business? Do you want to take a little bit more time to talk us through that framework?
Yeah, sorry. I get so hyped. Okay. I just go, blah, 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 talk 100 miles an hour. So I talked about the 5-step process, which I just mentioned, which is B for branding. So, getting your socials all not perfect, but, getting your bio up, your pinned post or your featured post, wherever you are on the socials, make sure that tells the world what it is you do. As I say, if people are looking at you and have only got 7 seconds before they switch on to something else, make those 7 seconds or 4 seconds on your smartphone count. That's what we mean by branding. So making sure that wherever you are, and you don't have to be on all socials, but where you are on the socials, just make that count. Try and look at your profile and your content as objectionally, and see if you think people will be interested in that. Then R is, the second step is relationship building, R. And it's not just about posting on socials. It's about getting into conversations. Can you get into conversations with people? Not to sell your business card, and say, come buy and buy my stuff, but genuinely have conversations where you can help people. Is there an opportunity to showcase your expertise anywhere? There are loads of conversations that are being had on LinkedIn or Instagram or wherever you are. Can you get involved in some of them and maybe steer people your way? Then A, the third step is for authority. You've got to show that you're an expert. You can't tell the world that you're an expert with your business card. So writing about what you've done, where you've helped people, John, you're helping people all the time with this incredible podcast. You're sharing your expertise, your knowledge, you're bringing all these fabulous guests on. So sharing that with the world, your expertise on what you do, that gives, your lurkers, give them a bit of credibility, because they'll think, oh, this person really knows what they're talking about. And then, as I mentioned earlier, to share your testimonials. N is for notoriety. Now, I don't mean be famous and be like a Kardashian, but definitely share your testimonials. Don't keep them to yourselves. Explain to the world how you got the testimonial, what kind of work you did for them, and this is the result. Tell that story. And then, as I mentioned, when your lurkers, when the time is right for them, they will slide into your direct messages, D. So D is for direct messages. And so it means that you no longer need to actively go out and do the cold calling, because your lurkers will get excited and slide into your DMs. That's how a lot of my clients come to me, because they've seen what I've shared and they think, she's an expert. She might be good for, my firm. Let's slide into her DMs. And that's what's happened. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah. I love the way that you've explained it. And I love the fact that there's a framework there. I love a framework, the acronym's brilliant. What kind of information or content that we could share with people constitutes as FOMO?
Any opportunity that you can showcase your expertise, and also the way that you can talk around your subject as well. So, as you know, people don't buy from you because of your price point. People buy from you because they like you, they've gotten to know you, they trust you. So how can they build that, how can they get to know you? How can they build that trust? And how can they, like you? So you don't have to talk about just architecture and just your work all the time. Talk about you as a human being. And this is where people can get to know you. Now, my dad always told me never to laugh like that. because he said it would get me into trouble. But out of respect for my dad, I don't laugh like that when I'm in front of him. But I know that when I laugh like that, it makes other people laugh. And so I want to make people feel at ease. So out of respect to my dad, I don't laugh when I'm with him, but in that way. But I'll laugh everywhere else because this is my genuine laugh. And people either love it or they hate it. And it's part of my, personality. And in fact, there was one time where Steve cracked a joke and I thought it was hilarious, started laughing my head off. He recorded it because he thought it was ridiculous. And I just put it up on the socials. And I got so many DMs for it. Is that going to get me sales? No. But it will get people to know who I am as a person. And that know, like, and trust factor is so important before we get to the salesy bit. So, share human stories, not necessarily related to your business all the time. But, obviously share about your business as well.
Yeah. And when we talk about sharing some personal stories and that type of content doesn't have to be super personal. Like it can share part of your personality, but you get to choose, what you share and what you don't share. So we're not talking about airing your dirty laundry online. I suppose it's just sort of picking out the kind of some strands from your life or your personality that are things that you're comfortable to share that, will help build a bigger picture of you so that you are, like, people can connect with the human side of it, that you're not just some work machine. You are actually a real person behind this business because people buy from people.
Absolutely. And, there are people who do choose to share stories about their children. I'm a pet parent, so I will talk about Missy, but then there will be some people who do not talk about their family at all. And this is what is powerful. You get to decide what you want to put out onto the socials. And with regards to airing your dirty laundry, I know some people who do bang on about their life all the time, but it's what makes them feel comfortable. And for me, I talk about my mental health journey sometimes, I don't want to bang on about it because it's boring, but a few times where I have shared, where things went, didn't go well for me, I have had people who have sent me DMs and said, thank you so much for sharing that. I'm going through this too. And we've had a great conversation. And, from a human level, that's really, really important. And I have managed to win a couple of clients that way. That's not why I did it though, so not everything that you put out online has to be calculating and towards your, to your goal. It's whatever makes you feel comfortable. But ultimately, people want to know you as a human first before you as an architect firm or as an architect.
Yeah, I like the way that you framed that. Thinking back at some of the posts that I've put out on the socials, on like LinkedIn, for example, some of the posts that had the most engagement have been the fastest posts to put together. It's literally just been a quick selfie, and I'd be out somewhere and maybe it was just something I thought of, I wanted to share, and it was just really quick and easy. And then it's like those have been the ones that have really resonated because I've not overthought it too much, so it's been authentic and it's shown a little bit of me. And that you mentioned about talking about mental health, that it's showing a little bit of vulnerability, and that's something that really does help to build connection with people.
Yeah.
And that's something that, depending on who you are, like there's going to be, you mentioned about, it's about what feels comfortable to you. So there's going to be some people that might feel more comfortable than others to talk about those sorts of things. But it's finding that balance for yourself, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I think as well, we are in danger of comparing ourselves to other people and thinking, oh gosh, look at them, look at what they've done, look at what they've shared, they're having such a great time. And, and then you look at yourself, you think, oh no, what do I think? listen, do not compare yourself. Do not compare your journey with anybody else's journey. You do what is right for you. You do what is comfortable for you. There's a fabulous lady that I follow because I've helped people create FOMO in the pet business industry. And she swears like a trooper online. Now, I think it's hilarious. But for me, and I swear like a trooper when I've had a few drinks and stuff. But for me and my branding, I don't feel comfortable in my branding to do that. I'll laugh like a silly person, but I won't swear with my branding. But that's no judgment against this fabulous lady who swears like a trooper, because that's her branding and it helps her to get, lots of sales. And it's all, all hats off to her. It's amazing. So do what is comfortable for yourself. And like you say, don't think about it too much. I mean, it's quite frustrating, isn't it, John? Where we think, oh, we'll do this post and we think, oh yeah, this is going to be great. And we thought really hard, long about it. And we, done the video, posted it up, 2 likes. We take a selfie, crickets, yeah. And then we take a selfie, just pop it up there, and then we get loads of engagement. It's crazy. It actually happened to me yesterday. I created a video. I'm part of a 30-day challenge to do a video every day. So I've decided to create a tip, a FOMO tip every day for 30 days. And I'm going to convert that into a book. And I just did it quickly off the fly, no edits, anything, just posted it up there. And it's the biggest engaged video that I've ever done. Other ones I thought really long and hard with. Crickets, like you say. It's just how it happens.
It's funny how it works out, isn't it? Yeah. I recall Chris Stowe, he published a video that I saw on his socials not that long ago, in the last couple of months. Yeah. And it'll still be up there. I wouldn't know where to find it, but it's on there somewhere. Yeah. He was talking about showing up authentically and how people talk about authenticity and be authentic.
Yes.
And he was talking about the gap, like this authenticity gap between how you show up versus how you are in real life. Yeah. And he was saying that the difference is between like how you show up online versus like how you are in private. And he said that the narrower that gap is, if you show up more like you are in private, then that gap is much narrower and it's going to be more authentic. Because often when we do decide to start making content and showing up online, we're like, sometimes we'll try to present like to be somebody else or to present a different version of ourselves because we think that we need to be that way because that's how we think we need to show up for other people. And you think, what could be easier than just being yourself? But that's the thing, is actually being yourself and being really comfortable in your own shoes to show up can actually be quite difficult for many people. Bizarrely, and you'd think it would be the easiest thing in the world. I remember going to some in-person networking events where I didn't know anybody. And I remember I went and I dressed differently. I turned up and I presented myself differently because I expected, I need to come across a bit more professional and a bit more businessy. Yeah. Whereas like the usual me is just like t-shirt, jeans, hoodie. And that's how I am, know, and I'm a lot more kind of relaxed about like the most sort of non-businessy person that you probably would meet. So that I just thought that was something interesting to mention actually about, when we're talking about sort of showing up and being yourself online, ideally, if you can.
Yeah, absolutely.
So May King, let's get back on track to talk about FOMO, because I know that I've heard you talk about different types of FOMO. So I'm wondering if you could just share with everybody what those different types of FOMO are, and if you could perhaps give some examples. Remember, don't forget to join the waitlist for our membership community, where you can meet other business owners who want the same thing as you. A thriving business that gives you more freedom, flexibility, and fulfillment. Just go to architecturebusinessclub.com/waitlist or click the link in the show notes and enter your details so you don't miss out on this amazing opportunity to improve your business and your life. And if you're enjoying the show, then please leave a 5-star review or rating wherever you listen to podcasts. Now back to the show.
Absolutely. So before we recorded this podcast, I did what's known as Pre FOMO. So before the thing that you're going to do. So as I say, as we've mentioned before, it's not exclusive to events. It's whatever you are doing. So before the thing that you're going to do, you know, if you're about to head into a meeting, if you're about to, I don't know, potentially partner up with somebody, I don't know, I'm giving terrible examples, but whatever it is before you're about to do, that's the pre-FOMO period. And so you can do a quick selfie or a quick note and make it about the event that's going to happen, you know. So you can make an event out of anything. So, you know, I've spoken to lots of product-based businesses and service-based businesses and help them to understand how they can create an event out of anything by generating that pre-FOMO. You're setting up the anticipation. Oh, we're just going to get started, or we're just going to meet, we're just going to do this. And you can remind people, you know, if it's a 3 weeks time you're about to meet the person, you can post about that. And then a day before, so excited to talk about that person, talk to that person. So creating lots and lots of posts in the lead up to the thing that you're about to do. That's a pre-FOMO. Live FOMO is, as it suggests, live. So not exactly in the meeting itself, because that would be wrong. But if you had a meeting, you know, just after the meeting, you can do a quick selfie, or if you feel brave enough, if you're ready to, you can do a quick video and say, just had a great meeting. You obviously don't need to give the ins and outs because you want to generate that FOMO, right? But share a few points from the meeting that you've had. And then post FOMO, that's the last period, you could say, oh, this time last week we had a great, you know, meeting about la la la, or this time last week went to a fantastic trade show and, you know, and met up with all these people. So this is the pre, live and post. And you can do that for anything. Absolutely anything. It doesn't need to be exclusive to events or meetings. It's whatever you're doing in your business life.
Oh, I love that. So I think if we were to try and give a simple example for an architect or an architectural designer, it could be something as simple as, let's say you were visiting a property, you'd got a new client, or you had a project that you're going to look at. Maybe it's somebody that's thinking about doing something to their home. So the pre-FOMO could be a post, a text post or an Instagram story, anything like that, to say, I'm just outside, I'm in the car, I'm just outside this property, I'm about to go in, I'm really excited. The homeowners, they're thinking about doing this exciting extension, and I'm really looking forward to discussing it with them. Or it could be some photos about like the before photos of the property. And then the live FOMO could be the like immediately afterwards. It could be, just got out of the meeting. It went absolutely amazing. I'm so excited to start working on this design and to share my ideas with you. And I suppose then the post FOMO could be, you know, a week or two later, maybe you've done some sketches or you've got the design prepared for the customer. You're taking the audience on this whole journey, aren't you? There's this story arc from the pre-FOMO to the live FOMO to the post-FOMO.
Absolutely.
And that's something that would be really simple for people to do in whatever way they decide to create the content, whether it's text or photos or little videos, depending on what they're comfortable with.
Yes.
But that would be a really simple way that they could start creating some buzz about what they're doing.
Fantastic. Yeah. And thanks for creating that illustration. Obviously, we need to gain permission from the customer, of course. But if the customer actually has a business, I mean, you're supporting them as well. You know, if you tag them, they'll absolutely love it too. So it's an absolute win-win. And remember that on social media, all your followers or fans or connections, they're not going to see everything that you do. You know, we've got far too much time to stalk on, you know, a particular person and see everyone's post. So, you know, you can never post too much. You can do lots of pre FOMO. You can do lots of live FOMO. You can say, in case you missed it, these are the designs that, we came up with. So creating lots and getting into the habit of creating content for your lurkers, because that's one of my phrases, create content for your lurkers, kids, because you never know when the time is right for your lurker, they will slide into your DMs. And it's interesting you talk about a story arc, because I know listeners won't be able to see this, but John, you can see the Truman Show poster that I have behind me. We have the power to create our own Truman Show. We can decide what we want to put out onto the socials. Unlike Jim Carrey's character from the Truman Show, he didn't know he was being recorded, but everyone was hooked. They wanted to know his trials and tribulations, ups and downs. And when he decided he didn't want to be recorded, he escaped. And then everybody went on their own merry way. And that's the same with us. If you don't create your own Truman Show, if you don't post on the socials, people will ignore you. They'll find someone else who is visible on the socials. So that's why it's important to create that story arc. Pre-FOMO, live FOMO, post-FOMO.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, firstly, that's a timely reminder that I haven't seen The Truman Show for ages, so I'm going to have to dig the DVD out and watch that again, because that is an amazing movie. I love that film.
Way ahead of its time. It's amazing, amazing.
Yeah, I think sometimes as well, I think one of the things that will hold people back is thinking, well, who's going to be interested in this? Like, honestly, who is going to be interested? But people love this stuff. Like, the things that we do in our day-to-day working life that we find or maybe think other people would find mundane, people will absolutely love it. They like to see behind the curtain, behind the scenes, to understand what goes on in businesses. And you've mentioned again about lurkers. It's so true that there are so many lurkers out there, and particularly with something like architecture, if you think about how, if you're making a purchasing decision, so if you were thinking about buying something, let's just say on Amazon or another, there are other online retailers available, but let's say you're thinking about buying something, if I might think a while, even for something that costs less than £100, I might spend ages researching it and thinking about it. And if I was making a bigger purchase, booking a holiday or buying a car or something like that, like I would spend a long time thinking about it and researching it. Same for architecture. Like, people they're not just, whether it's a person and they're doing something to their home or whether it's a business, potentially that overall project could be tens of thousands of pounds. You as an architect, the fee might not be all of that. It may just be a small proportion, but they're going to be thinking about this for a heck of a long time, potentially. So those lurkers, you could have people on your socials that are lurking around for a long, long time. Like, it could be over a year before they decide to slide into the DMs and to get in touch. So it is so important, isn't it, to be making content to keep people's attention and keep them interested.
Absolutely, because everyone is on a different journey. Every lurker, and we're all lurkers, aren't we? We lurk on other people's stuff. It's okay to be a lurker, not a stalker, but a lurker. Lurkers are on different parts of the journey with us. Some of us have known us for years. Some of us have only just met us. So creating that constant stream of content, is really important to let people know. And sometimes, those, in case you missed it posts, ICYMI posts are really important because there will be people who didn't see it. So it's okay to share your story again and again. We call it repurposing, repurposing our content. I did it this week. I had a video that I thought, oh my God, this is actually really good. Even if I might say so myself. And I shared it. And it's from an interview that I did 4 years ago. Actually, it was ChatGPT, John. It was amazing. My sister and I were fiddling on ChatGPT. And she just put in, what are there any FOMO consultants out there? Now, consultant's not a word I normally use, but ChatGPT actually recommended me and cited a source, which is an interview that I did 4 years ago with a company in America, lately.ai. So, you know, that is really important. So I've been creating content for such a long time, and you never know when you can reuse it again. And I'm telling you now, I'm milking that for quite a while. The fact that ChatGPT thinks I'm the number one expert in FOMO, of course.
Of course you are. Absolutely. Yeah. The one and only.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We've talked and shared some great ideas there, some simple things that people can do to start creating some FOMO in their business. What equipment do we need? You know, what equipment do we need to get started to create some FOMO?
Your phone. That's it.
Okay. And I would dare say we've all got one.
Yeah, exactly. We don't need to procrastinate and think, we need the latest video equipment, we need a mic and all that. No, your phone. How hard is it to take a photograph? It's not. That's it. Just get started. You know, take a photograph. Be brave. That's it. That's the thing that's holding us back from, you know, creating content. Be brave and think, this is going to help me. This is going to help my firm. You know, this is going to get me out on socials. I'm going to gain a reputation online just as good as the one face to face. That's what I'm going to do. That's all you need, a phone. Let's just leave it at that.
Brilliant. So we just need a phone. So that's nice and easy for everybody to get started. What would be the main thing you'd like everybody to take away from this conversation?
I would just like people to get started. It doesn't matter where you are. Get started. You know, breathe, be brave, and start. That's it.
I love that. And is there anything else that you wanted to say about FOMO that we haven't already covered in the conversation?
No, like I say, I want you to give it a try and maybe message me if you're not sure. Just, you know, send me a DM, slide into my DMs on LinkedIn and just ask me, May King, is this okay? Remember, my first name is May King. Is this okay? And, you know, and we can have a bit of a chat and you know, I can help you. But getting into the habit of posting something about your life as a person as well as a business, and just write something, and you never know who's watching. And like John said earlier, you know, we might think it's boring, you know, what we do, but it will be really interesting to the untrained eye, to the person who is looking for an architect. So, you know, showcase your expertise, and don't be afraid.
Thanks, May King. There was another question I want to ask you. It's something I like to ask all of the guests on the show. It's about travel. I love to travel. I love to discover new places. And I was just wondering if you could tell me about one of your favourite places and what you love about it.
That's like choosing one of your favourite children, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a toughie.
And I don't even have children. Golly. Do you know, I'm going to be a bit biased here. I guess Hong Kong, because my dad is from Hong Kong. My mum was born in China, and it's just a magical place. Yeah, let's just leave it at that. It's just, it is literally a 24-hour city. There's lots of cities that claim they're 24 hours, like London, and, you know, they close up at 2-3 o'clock. But Hong Kong, literally a 24-hour city, and it's just so magical. Yeah, fabulous.
Hong Kong, what a fantastic place. I had the good fortune to be able to visit there. I think it was back in 2006, I want to say. So crikey, it's like nearly 20 years ago. It's making me feel old. But it was only a short visit. It was a stopover, and I was sort of part of a bigger backpacking trip, and I had a few days in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
And I absolutely loved it. And one of the things that made it really special was, at the time, I was part of a community. It's probably still going. It was called couch surfing.
Oh, yes.
And it was a bit of a precursor to Airbnb.
Yes.
Where you could like go and couch surf. You could go and stay at somebody's home, and it was free, or you could meet somebody and they would just act as your like local tour guide. And when I went to Hong Kong, I was only there for a few days, and I thought, well, it's such a big city and I don't really know where I'm going and everything. And I managed to find a couple of people that lived in Hong Kong. There was a lady that lived there. She was from Hong Kong. And then there was another guy that was a Chinese-American student that had then was studying over in Hong Kong, or he was on some kind of work placement. And I met these people, and we'd never met before other than a few messages online. And it was amazing. Like they were like my personal tour guides around Hong Kong for this weekend I had there. And it was so much fun. I got to just experience a little bit of culture, and I went to visit some places that I wouldn't have found otherwise. And I had some really nice food as well, and like street food and things that I wouldn't have known what I was ordering. And they're like, oh no, we'll order this, try this and try that. And it was so much fun. So I'd love to go back one day. Be a good place to go and visit.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Cool. Well, look, thank you so much, May King. I really appreciate you bringing the FOMO to the show today.
You are welcome.
Where is the best place for people to connect with you online?
Yeah, it's probably LinkedIn, actually. So May King Tsang, that's MAYKING TSANG. That's probably the best place you can catch me.
Awesome. And if they want to learn more about you, could you remind everyone of your website address as well?
It's FOMOcreator.social.
Perfect. Fantastic. Well, thanks again, May King.
Thanks, John.
Next time, Sarah Noel Block shares how businesses with tiny or non-existent marketing departments can build a lean marketing engine to grow their business. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of Architecture Business Club. If you liked this episode, think other people might enjoy it, or just want to show your support for the show, then please leave a glowing 5-star review or rating wherever you listen to podcasts. It would mean so much to me and makes it easier for new listeners to discover the show. And if you haven't already done so, don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you never miss another episode. If you want to connect with me, you can do that on most social media platforms. Just search for @Mr. John Clayton. The best place to connect with me online, though, is on LinkedIn. You can find a link to my profile in the show notes. Remember, running your architecture business doesn't have to be hard, and you don't need to do it alone. This is Architecture Business Club.